The filming of the film Troy took place from April to June 2003 in London, Malta, and Mexico. Originally, it was planned to film the final scenes in Morocco, but due to the terrorist attack on May 14, 2003, which took place in the largest city of Morocco, Casablanca, the filmmakers decided to cancel the filming in Morocco and look for alternative locations. They foresaw the danger of another terrorist attack and the upcoming war in Iraq, so they decided to film in Spain and Mexico instead. The filming began in London, where all the scenes taking place outside the walls of Troy were filmed. All the scenes inside the walls were filmed in Malta, where the main scenery, city, gate, royal palace, was built in the fort of Ricasoli on the island. Some scenes were also shot on the Golden Bay Beach in Melilla village and on the Blue Lagoon Beach on Comino Island in Malta. The battles were shot on a deserted beach, a few kilometers from the Mexican resort town of Cabo San Lucas. Cacti grow in this area, protected by law. It is also a habitat for rare turtles, so botanists were hired to temporarily move the cacti to nurseries and mark their locations. Other specialists collected turtle eggs and transported them to an incubator. Mexican extras, who looked like Mediterranean residents, and Bulgarian sports students from the National Sports Academy in Sofia, were hired for the filming. The Bulgarians were used for close-ups during the battle scenes. During the filming in Mexico, there were some incidents. The Mexican and Bulgarian actors got into a fight, so they called on the police for help. Additionally, the Bulgarian extras staged strike actions, demanding higher pay. At the end of filming, when it was time to shoot the fight between Hector and Achilles, actor Brad Pitt injured his ankle tendon. And a few days later, the hurricane, named Marty, caused significant damage to the walls of Troy. As a result, the filming was postponed for 3 months, during which time both actors were required to maintain their fitness. Misfortune struck one of the participants in the film. Bodybuilder George Camilleri, winner of the Mr. Malta title in 1989, suffered a leg injury while filming one of the combat scenes. The next day, he underwent surgery, but complications arose and he died on June 17, 2003. While walking along the beach with the Greeks setting up their camp, Achilles taunts Odysseus by saying that he is the last to arrive. Those familiar with the story of the Odyssey will recall that Odysseus is the first Greek to land in the Trojan territory. But he cheats by throwing his shield onto the sand and jumping on it, rather than actually entering the land itself, as there was a curse that anyone who landed first on the land would surely perish. Odysseus also experienced the longest journey home after the war, due to his angering the gods. Brad Pitt and Eric Bana didn't use understudies for the fight scenes, especially the one between them. They agreed to pay the injured party money in case of accidental blows. $50 for light damage and $100 for heavy. After shooting the scene where Pitt killed Bana, Pitt was owed $750 by Bana, despite Bana not owing Pitt a cent. Initially, the budget for Troy shouldn't have been so high. The studio wanted to spend a similar budget to Gladiator. But when Brad Pitt and director Wolfgang Petersen joined the project, costs had to increase. $24 million were spent on their salaries alone. Brad Pitt got $17.5 million for his part, and Wolfgang Petersen $6 million. Brad Pitt said filming was excruciating because he had to stop smoking. Wolfgang Petersen originally wanted to do without the gods as well as Elena. He felt that the gods merely weighed down the plot, which they were generally insignificant for, and as for Elena, he would not have been able to find an actress who met the expectations of the audience for the role. However, the studio insisted on having Elena in the film, and so Petersen selected a lesser-known actress to play her. Historians differ sharply on whether the Trojan War actually took place, and if so, what sort of archaeological site Troy is. Recent discoveries at the beginning of the 21st century have provided new evidence of several battles in the correct location and time, but it is difficult to obtain conclusive evidence, mainly due to the practice of building a new city on top of the ruins of an older one. The Iliad, written hundreds of years after what some people believe to be the Trojan War, provides little help in determining actual historical events. It includes many mythological characters and elements, so it is not always reliable. One theory suggests that Homer's portrayal of Troy was destroyed by an earthquake, and that the Iliad reflects this symbolically, with the horse representing the Greek god of earthquakes. To create a more historically accurate film, the producers decided to remove all mythological elements from the story. This gives the film a sense of authenticity that is absent from the original source material. Achilles and Patroclus trained in the ancient Maltese menhir, which could have been built back in 2000 BC. After learning about the Troy project, the Turkish government became very interested and offered the film team the chance to film the movie in Çanakkale, which houses the ruins of real-life Troy. However, Warner Brothers refused the offer. The Turks then offered to hold the film's premiere in real life, but the event was instead held in Berlin, where Schlieman's gold from Troy is kept. Before filming the movie, the actor playing the role of Achilles, Brad Pitt, spent 6 months training in swordsmanship. As a result, he injured his Achilles tendon and the shooting had to be postponed by several weeks. To participate in the project, director Wolfgang Petersen had to leave the planned blockbuster Batman v Superman, and Brad Pitt refused to join Darren Aronofsky in Fountain. Instead, Hugh Jackman took on the lead role in that film. It took composer James Horner less than 6 weeks to write the music for the film. Gabriel Yared took over a year to create the soundtrack, but it was rejected. In 2007, a director's cut of the film was released. Wolfgang Petersen used portions of the rejected music, as well as other music from films, such as Planet of the Apes in 2001, The Count of Monte Cristo in 2002, and Starship Troopers in 1997, as accompaniment for the battle scene between Achilles and Hector. There are some discrepancies between the text of Homer's Iliad and the film adaptation. In the poem, the Olympian gods play a significant role. Some of them support the Greeks, while others favor the Trojans. Even the gods choose their favorites in the battle. In the poem, Menelaus and Agamemnon survive. Achilles' death is foretold, but Homer himself does not die, and the Trojan War does not end. In many other sources, Achilles' demise is described. In Homer's work, Ajax Telamonides survives as well. In some other authors, however, he commits suicide shortly after Achilles' demise. The Trojan War lasts 10 years, yet the events depicted in the film occur in the final few months of the conflict. After Achilles' passing, it is Philoctetes who kills Paris. Overall, the Iliad is a tale about the conflict between Achilles and Agamemnon. Although some romantic elements in the film's plot are given more significance than they have in Homer's original work, there is also a director's cut of the film that runs for 196 minutes.